Okay, so we are doing receiving versus holding versus attracting money. Whatever you want, right? But this is money, like usually how I work is with money. And I think by now a lot of you see the thread between how our relationship with money really is a mirror of the deeper work that we have an invitation to do on ourselves. And I love that because we get to make money and be successful through healing, which I think is great because we get to have all the things that we desire when things are feeling hard or feeling like you're pushing a boulder up a hill or things are not going the way that you want. It's always because there's a part of you that's trying to communicate something. And I know that this is one of those things that's kind of one of those big pills to swallow of like, but you guys will hear me say it over and over again because not only is it true in my life, but it's true with my clients as well. Like my private client, I mean, people in this in my community, they just do my trainings do really well. I mean, we've had several people in the membership come in and we're doing inconsistent 2 to 4K months and then have a 13K month within a few months. And that was just doing stuff like we did do a few one-off sessions, like detailing sessions. But the point to that is um, this work is that power. It has nothing to do with me. It's the work. It's something about healing through success, healing through making money instead of it just being about money, right? And I think for me, that's a really powerful way to support people. So I love that. So, anyways, let's dive in. So, are you guys cool to like check in with your bodies? I know that we normally don't do these on the Aligned as Fuck calls, but I love this topic. And if you guys love it, I'll do a deeper training to do actually alignment work around it. Um, but I would love to know if you guys can like check in with your bodies today, because I would really love for you guys to see what that different energy feels like in your body when I ask you these questions around these three topics, right? Like attracting, holding, receiving. And actually, attracting and receiving are a little bit different, and you'll see what I mean. So drop in the chat, let me know how that feels for you guys. And if not, that's okay too. You can always watch the replay, but I am curious if you guys just kind of turn on your cameras and stuff and listen, or if you can, like message and be like, yeah, I can check in with my body. So just let me know. I think another thing that I want to say, sorry, I close my eyes a lot because it helps me like calm my mind so I can like speak from my body. So if you guys see me do that a lot, that's what's happening. Okay, good. How are things, Heather? I'm really excited. I'll also respond to you as well. I know there's some really exciting things happening in your world and excited to just hear how you're doing. Good. Amazing. Amazing. I hope you're feeling better after our session. Like I said, it does take time to integrate a lot of those deep healing work. Okay. So, how do I want to articulate this? Maybe it'll come back around. Maybe we just dive in and see how we're feeling. So, I want you to think so, like when we do these processes, I do them with money normally. It can also be business and like holding clients or more responsibility, I think, are other two things to really hone in on, right? In this work. But I start with money because I really, really believe, and I have a lot of empirical evidence for my clients and the success they get of we don't have to be fully healed to have the money that we desire or the success that we desire. That in itself can be a limiting belief. So it's really good to just clock that and be like, oh, because I think when people get into these deeper healing world, and I don't know how many of you have ever done that world or done that work, but I've been in several communities like that and I love deeper healing work. Like I think it's amazing. But what I find is that a lot of times people will develop this like perception of like, well, I have to be healed to be successful. I have to be healed to make money. I have to be healed to have the love I desire, right? Like whatever it is that you want. And my intention is to never, ever, ever have that be your belief system because our belief systems do dictate our reality if our belief systems are in alignment with our sensations and our feelings. Sometimes they're not. So that's another conversation for another time. But let's dive into attracting money. And I just want you to just take a deep breath and I want you to just really arrive here, feeling safe in your body, taking this time for you to just be here with me and yourself and all the people on this call and feel into your body. And again, you guys know I've been pushing, I hate to say pushing hard on this, but bringing it up a lot of noticing if you feel resistance to even just sitting down and being quiet with yourself and tapping into your body. If you feel resistance to that, that is the number one thing to clear. And this has been coming up a lot with my private clients, and some people in the membership as well that I've got some private messages from, of their body feeling so dysregulated or so activated or so like almost like overwhelmed. I will say that I think it's collective. I've been dealing with it. I have several private clients have been dealing with it. I've done two deep healing sessions with people recently that have been dealing with it. And I think it is collective. Whether or not you believe in that stuff, it doesn't really matter, but just kind of giving you permission to just feel how you feel. But if you do have resistance to slowing down, sitting down, taking time for yourself to connect with not only yourself, but in your body. A lot of times I feel like we're taught to connect with ourselves in a way that is very just heady, right? It can be in our brain, it can be even in our emotions, which I think is deeper. But if you can get to the sensation and really be present with the sensations in your body, that's the next level, right? I feel like that's kind of where traditional manifestation can kind of get it wrong a little bit, as we're just working with thoughts and feelings, and we that's the missing piece of the puzzle, is also work with our sensations, and that's just because of the signal that gives to our brain, right? So just noticing that, being totally okay with it. If that resistance is there, there's nothing wrong with that. But just noticing that the resistance, if it's there, is just trying to communicate with you. It's not bad or good, it's neutral. It's just actually your body's intelligence trying to communicate something with you. So, and if you have a piece of paper, you can write it down. You can be like, yeah, I noticed this sensation, or I noticed the resistance to even be quiet and sit with myself or be fully present in my body, right? And later you can go back and ask why. Why is this resistance here? What is it trying to tell me? So once you've kind of arrived, and sometimes if breath is a really good one, but sometimes if even breath is like a hard way for you to connect in, feeling your feet on the ground is a very good way as well. If you're still having trouble connecting in, you guys know I love this, where we just look straight ahead, but we soften our gaze to where it's almost blurry and wide. So I'm looking and I can see my fingers over here, and my gaze is like to the point where my computer looks fuzzy. If you do that for long enough, that will put you into parasympathetic nervous system state. So these are all three things that you can do. You can choose breath, you can choose the gaze, you can choose just noticing how your feet feel on the ground. You can do all three. No wrong way. We're just playing with tools of what works for you. And so when you're here, I want you to think about the concept of attraction, attracting money in the specific, but also just attraction in general. Do you feel, yeah, gaze is such a powerful tool. And we actually have the neuroscience data to back that up. Andrew Huberman talks about it a lot. Gaze being, gaze being a really good way to regulate our nervous system. And in a sense, a regulated nervous system is not always in parasympathetic. It's flexible, like meaning that we'll go into fight or flight when we need to, but we're not stuck in dorsal, which is like almost like foggy depression kind of vibe, and parasympathetic just being kind of like neutral, and then fight or flight being activated, right? And so we naturally want to go in and out of all these states. And so gaze is a really powerful one. So just notice if that works for you. That can be such a healthy tool. And like, and people won't even notice, right? Like you're just like, soften your gaze. Oh, okay, I'm here. And I want you to think about the concept of attraction for a second. Do you feel like you are like in an attraction state right now? In an attraction state in general? Do you even know how to be in an attraction state? Meaning magnetic, right? And meaning, does your belief system support the idea that you can tap into this magnetic energy to attract in what you want? And if you feel like sharing in the comments, I would love to hear how you feel about that. Not because I'm like nosy, it's just because it helps me get a baseline to how to support you guys, right? So if you want to share, great. If you don't, that's okay too. But just noticing if there's even a block with that. And I'm going in order from how you should look at this, right? So the first one being, if you have resistance towards being in your body, that's the number one thing I would work on. The second would be, attraction. Do I know how to tap into that state? Does it feel safe to tap into that state? A lot of times we know how, especially if you've been in my containers. I'm constantly teaching you guys how to tap into this. But if it doesn't feel safe, or if there's a misunderstanding about what being attraction, like what being an attraction state means, i.e., well, if I'm in an attraction state, it's too easy and that doesn't align with my belief system, so I self sabotage, something like that, right? Just noticing, just being aware of why things are happening the way they're happening, or why the beliefs we have might be blocking us, like whatever the case may be, right? So I'm just reading the chat. 610 attraction, good stuff, but not specific stuff. That's so interesting. I would love to know why, if you're open to sharing that. Like what's the difference? Because guys, this work works really well because when I ask these questions, it allows me to see, oh, there's something here. Why is it the difference between specific and good, right? And if you can get to the depth of that answer, it's going to give you a pathway of how to release the misunderstanding stored in your brain and body, right? Because by nature, we are magnetic humans. I mean, think about children, right? Like they're so present, they're so happy, their brains are so malleable. Whatever you tell them, they're just like, yeah. And they tend to be very magnetic. Pet or animals are another good one. And we're naturally that state before the world told us who to be, right? So I want you guys to really think about the idea that we're not learning to be somebody new. We're unlearning all the things that aren't actually in alignment with who we truly are. And sometimes just telling people that gives them enough permission to just be like, oh yeah, I'm not learning to be someone new. I mean, you are in some way because you're learning how to go back to this original state in your adult life, right? But this is your essence of who you are and who you were born. Now, barring trauma, that trauma does shake things up a bit. And I do know there are several people in this container that have trauma, including me, that can make it a little bit messy. But think about, there was a point in your life where you weren't in your head and you were very attraction and oriented, and maybe if attraction doesn't land for you, maybe you're like, Farron, I wasn't in an attraction state, but there was a point in your life where you were very present, very optimistic, very and those are all things. You guys know I even have a training in heartbeat that's manifesting from the feeling and sensation of anything is possible. So if you guys are really struggling with the concept of attraction, you can go there and be like, can I get to a state where I feel like anything is possible? That is really, really powerful. So guys, just noticing in your body, do I feel like I know how to tap into my attraction state? Do I know how to become a magnetic? And does it feel safe? I would say those are the three things to ask yourself. And let me know if you need me to repeat those. Let me know if I'm speaking too fast. I'm here to support you guys in whatever way I can. So if I'm ever going too fast or not supporting you guys in the way you need, let me know. And just noticing if there's tightness, noticing if there's apprehension, notice if there's even a trigger here. I think there's been a lot shifting with people. And in my experience, and guys, I'm trauma trained, but I do think that it's a fine line. I have to be very mindful of working with people with trauma and dysregulated nervous system states. And I don't think that just because you haven't experienced trauma doesn't mean there's just not dysregulation in your nervous system. But the point to that is people being triggered. And for me, a good mentor and a good healer will trigger you. Like shamans aren't worried about walking around like telling you that, hey, there's this trauma in your body and it's manifesting like this, and this is why you have anxiety. And that triggers people, but it's only to bring it to your awareness so that you can clear it, because it's just trying to communicate with you. When we have something like anxiety that manifests physically in our body, that's because your body's trying to communicate that, hey, there's a core wound here and we need to clear it so we can clear the sensation. The sensation is just there to give you the information. So I think that's also a really good thing to keep in mind, and a really good reframe of, is being triggered bad? Now, obviously, don't let people talk shit to you, right? That's not the point. But I do think that when we're doing this deeper healing work, especially when it's something like to do with success and money and business, it can be triggering. So notice if that's even there. It's all welcome here. It's all okay to experience, right? Like I am the mentor, I can hold all of it, whether if people are feeling, triggered or, don't get it or feeling whatever. So just giving yourself full permission to just have whatever experience that you're having. So how's everybody feeling with that? Does anybody want to share? And if you don't, that's okay too. But just really just being like, okay, do I know how to tap into this? Does it feel safe? Um, just wondering. I'm just going to give just a second just to see if anybody wants to share anything. And if not, again, that's totally fine. And the next thing that I want you guys to tap into and ask yourself, how do I feel about receiving? So in this case, I want you to think about receiving money. So whatever it is that you desire monthly, I want you to imagine that I'm handing that to you in cash. And guys, this only really, really works well if you actually imagine it, right? It's like the lemon test. If I tell you to imagine there's a lemon in your hand, it's dripping, it's yellow, it's whatever. Guys, I haven't even stuck it in my mouth and my mouth is already salivating. We have to imagine to kind of get a baseline for how our bodies feel about certain things. So imagine I'm handing it to you in cash. It's in your hand. Is there tightness? Is there resistance? Is there uncomfortable sensations? And if so, the question then becomes, why? What's the story here? Because guys, this might be a little triggering, I don't know. But guys, it's just a story. You can choose to rewire that story anytime. And a lot of people come at that with, well, I didn't work for it. It wasn't hard enough. It can't just be that easy. That's probably the things I hear the most, as well as having some worthiness and like, do I feel worthy of this being easy? Do I feel deserving of this? And I would say those are the top two biggest super unconscious roots. So when I say super unconscious root, I'm talking about the fact that people come into my world and they've been doing money work and manifestation work and sometimes deep healing work and all the things. And they'll all tell you that I was able to get to the thing underneath the thing underneath the thing, like the real root in the super unconscious. That's why I'm tracking sensations. Um, so a lot of times our brain will tell us, oh, it's because, you know, I watched my mom struggle with money. And so I feel like money has to be a struggle. And that's part of it. But a lot of times it's deeper than that. A lot of times it goes deeper and even further back than that. And we don't even realize it because our brain is trying to sneakily be like, hey, you figured it out. Don't keep digging around, because your brain's job is to protect you. And as a human species, from an evolutionary standpoint, we're not meant to remember all the bad things because we would go crazy, right? But we do have to clear out the things. And that's where the sensations come in of like trying to explain to you, hey, there's this thing you don't even remember, but it's still affecting your nervous system, right? So that's the second thing. Do you feel safe to receive? Do you feel safe and or worthy to receive with ease is going to be the other one. Can things just be easy? Can money be easy? Can love be easy? Can peace be easy? A lot of us, like I'm really terrible about not so much anymore, but when I was younger, for sure, because what felt natural and normal to me was chaos. So being very addicted to chaos, very addicted to toxic relationships, very addicted to drama. And again, it's not our fault. It's just our cute little brains, our cute little nervous systems leaning into what feels natural and normal. That's it. That's it. So we can just let go of any story around, oh, I do actually tend to be in dramatic situations, or I do like the drama. I don't like things to be easy, and just being really real with ourselves can be a really powerful tool. That goes more into the shadow work side of things. And I try to keep these and the membership a little more like light in that respect, because doing shadow work is really deep work. And I like to do that more like close proximity settings. But that is a shadow work thing of allowing ourselves to be okay with liking the things that we actually judge about ourselves. That's some next level shit. Once you get that, so like I would say like the membership is a lot of self-love, healing, a lot of stuff like that. And then once you get past that, it comes into um, the shadow part of being okay. And actually, guys, like Renee has been killing it when she came into my world, and she told me I could share this with you guys. She had made $100 in July working with a seven-figure business mentor, and I think the next month she made $2,000, and she wasn't even breaking even. She was paying this mentor way more, and she came to me, and then immediately because we did this work and it started out with that deeper healing work and then moving into the shadow work because now her body and her brain and her nervous system feel safe to have that stuff and her own work as well. She's extremely consistent, but like my point to this is that if your nervous system doesn't feel safe, if it's activated around any of this, that's what's blocking you because that's what its job is to keep you safe, to tell your brain, hey, something's wrong here. So just noticing, do I feel safe to receive? Do I feel safe to receive if I'm not working for it, if I'm not working hard enough, right? Do I feel worthy of doing that? That's another really good one. Sorry, I'm just taking a breath. I feel like there's a lot of energy happening right now, and I feel very like um I know you guys have probably heard me talk about this, but I feel energy extremely intensely, even on calls. And sometimes I'll even get like visions. Like I think one time I was like on a call with you guys and I saw a unicorn and somebody's like, oh, that's me. That's my anchor. Like it's a very interesting thing that I'm learning how to just be okay with and talk about. Cause growing up in Southern Tennessee is not a normal thing to talk about stuff like that. But I can feel that there's a lot of things shifting right now and just being okay with where we're all at in this weird space of whatever is happening in the collective. The third thing is once you've received that money, so let's say you're like, I'm good with being an attraction, I'm good with receiving. Now, do I feel safe to hold? And I can tell that at least one of you, but I think probably more than one, has this experience. I know holding money for me is a challenge sometimes because I do have financial trauma. I think all of you know the story by now, but maybe not. I don't know if Ginger's heard it, but my dad and grandmother passed away when I was in, well, 13 and 16. And I got money from that, from the government, not even from them, because I'm not going to get into the details of what happened. Anyways, doesn't matter. But holding money, and I mean, and we got quite a bit of that money, and me and my mom spent it all. And it wasn't just me and my mom, it was, other people in our family because it came from such a tragic experience. My grandmother actually passed away from, she worked at Oak Ridge National Lab, which built the atomic bomb. And they didn't tell, and she wasn't like a scientist. She was just like an admin or whatever. And but they knew and didn't tell them. That's why we all got a sum of money. My grandmother didn't want to be a part of a lawsuit. That's not what she wanted. But the point being is that I never made that connection of that's why I don't feel safe to hold money, because money to me equals trauma, people leaving me, abandonment, the government, like not trusting the government is a big one for me because not only did I deal with that with my grandmother, but I also had a similar situation with my dad. And, I still like that still work I have to do. I still get teary eyed. I actually recently went and saw Oppenheimer, and that's about building the atomic bomb. And I literally had a breakdown. I was in Colombia, had a breakdown, had to walk out of the movie because it bothered me so much. And I was like, wow, I thought I cleared this, but obviously not. Because I forget that that's a thing, right? And our bodies are so intelligent. So just notice if you get emotional about the same things over and over again. Sometimes we're like, oh, we've done that work, or it's been so long, or whatever. But if there's uncomfortable sensations, if there's a lot of emotional up and downs, it just means it hasn't been cleared. Again, no, it's not right or wrong. So for me, holding money feels very threatening in my body. That's why I get money and I'm like, I'm gonna spend it all. I'm obviously a lot better about it now because I'm aware of it and I have systems in place to navigate it. But if we don't, we'll spend it. And then what happens? There's a cycle, which I have several private clients going through this right now of trying to we're working on getting out of the cycle of it doesn't feel safe to hold money. So I'm going to spend it all. But then I block myself from receiving more money because it doesn't feel good when I spend it because I'm mean to myself. And so I just don't want to deal with it. So I'm just going to block it. Does that resonate with anybody? And if you want to share, great. If you don't, that's okay too. But I just want you to really tap into that because that's a big one. I feel like people understand, I think, the concept of holding, but when I think I explain it like this, where I'm giving a story, I'm giving an example, and people are like, oh yeah, that makes sense, right? So if any of those things are out of whack and your body doesn't feel safe to be magnetic, to receive, to hold, you won't allow it. And it's not your fault. It's again, it's just your nervous system. It's just your brain and body's communication system trying to keep you safe. But we have to use the tools to navigate it. And I would say the number one thing with that is regulating your nervous system, right? I would say a lot of women specifically, I think men deal with it too, but I tend to have a lot of, I do have male clients, but tend to have a lot of female clients. And I think Abigail's my, one of my assistants, but she was actually asking me about, um, who I wanted in the community recently because she had some people that wanted to join. And I've been not talking about the community really at all because I'm still trying to figure out what this community looks like and how I want to support you guys. And I really feel strongly that I want it to be women because I do think that this nervous system thing is such a big part of it. And women tend to be more susceptible to those things. And I think that's how our bodies are made up. I think that's hormones as well. And I think it's also society of what women like the expectations for women. And so I feel like I want to give you guys a safe space to explore these things, and because I've dealt with it, I've had all of that with such a dysregulated nervous system. And it's unhealed trauma, it's hormonal imbalances, it's not absorbing nutrients, it's all the things. And we can debate chicken or the egg, but it doesn't matter as long as we're starting somewhere to heal, whether that's getting our hormones tested or reading the right book or doing this work, right? But I want you guys to just give yourself permission to do this work to start regulating your nervous system so you feel safer to move forward towards the things that you want instead of it feeling the only reason it feels so up and down, if you're dealing like this, if it feels like you're pushing a boulder up a hill, if it feels so up and down, like I'm doing it, I'm not doing it, I'm doing it and it's not working, that is, I don't want to blanket statement it, but in my experience, it's usually nervous system dysregulation and your body kind of kicking it out and being like, it's not safe for me to have this, not safe for me to hold this. Does this all make sense what I'm saying? And of course, if you guys have questions, please let me know. I'm about to hop off. This went a little deeper than I expected. It was meant to be a little bit lighter, but I feel like this is such an important conversation to have with my community and those of you that want more consistency, that want more money, that want more ease, more flow, or maybe you just want to make a fuck ton of money and work a lot, like whatever, But either way, everything that we do and everything that we choose not to do is based on how we feel. And I don't mean emotions, I mean sensations. And once you understand that, once you see that, you can start building your toolbox of, oh, if I can let go of these beliefs, if I can rewire my brain and body so I feel different in my body, I feel safe in my body to have all these things, it will change. I promise you. I have never, and I've had a lot of clients, and I've never seen somebody do this work to actually do it, to be like, no, this is my priority. I'm going to do this work to regulate my nervous system and then move through the other steps and not get what they want. It's that powerful. And the reason I say that is I want you guys to know how powerful you are. I want you to know that you have the power. This is something that you have control over, and not this is nothing to do with like you're not doing it right or shaming. It's nothing like that. It's legit. I want you to feel empowered. I want you to know that your wants and desires are intelligent and you can have whatever you desire anytime you want. And I hope that that's an uplifting thing. So let me know if you guys have any questions. I'm just gonna just be quiet for just a second. Let me know if you want to share anything or have any questions, and if not, I'm gonna end this. Tomorrow, all three of you are Money Magic. We're doing a call tomorrow. We're going to be doing a hypnosis protocol. Oh, you're so welcome. So I'm hoping that you guys will come tomorrow if you can. I'm really excited. This hypnosis protocol is really good. It's from a world-class hypnotist that I've done trainings with. And so I think it would be really cool for you guys to experience that. And I know some of you love to just work on things. So if you want some homework, just really regulate on or work on regulating your nervous system so you can actually go into trance. This will be an actual like trance experience. So hope you guys would come along for that. We're going to clear some stuff in that hypnosis protocol. Um, and yeah, I think I want to bring some more hypnosis back into this community. So anyways, I hope this was helpful. If I don't see you tomorrow and you celebrate Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving. And if you need anything in between, please let me know in Heartbeat, and I will see you guys next week. Bye everybody. You're welcome.